Перезаряжать, прикрой.
Принял, прикрываю, бам-бам-бам-бам.
Давай, 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 живи.
Soldiers of the 78th Airborne Assault Regiment Hertz of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces captured an Italian citizen fighting for the Russian invasion forces. The press service of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces reported on this. While performing a combat mission in the Kupiansk sector, the regiment's soldiers discovered an enemy group. As a result of the contact, some of the enemy personnel were killed and others were taken prisoner. Among the POWs was a native of Naples, an Italian citizen named Gianni Ceni, who voluntarily joined the Russian army. He is 51 years old and left behind a wife and 2 children. In the past, Ceni worked in a restaurant in the Russian city of Samara, but in November 2024, he went to serve. Obviously, he has become another victim of Russian propaganda, the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces suppose. The Ukrainian Air Assault Forces say that the Russians had neither training nor numerical superiority against the Ukrainian paratroopers. Our soldiers acted in a coordinated and decisive manner, neutralized the enemy, and captured the Italian citizen alive. This event is yet another confirmation of the invincibility of Ukrainian defenders who put their lives on the line every day to protect their homeland. Their professionalism and fighting spirit make the enemy tremble, no matter where they come from, the paratroopers emphasize. At the end of December, it was reported that soldiers of the 28th Mechanized Brigade had driven a mercenary assault group out of their trenches in the Toretsk sector in close-quarter combat. The soldiers of the 28th Brigade captured only one shock trooper, who turned out to be a mercenary and an Egyptian citizen who did not understand Russian. It is currently unknown how the Egyptian ended up in the assault group and whether it consisted entirely of foreigners. Since the end of 2023, the Russian military has been actively recruiting mercenaries from third world countries to participate in the war against Ukraine. In May, the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine reported that Russia had created a special unit for this purpose, which recruits mercenaries and trains them in Russia. Currently, a large number of citizens of Asian and African countries are fighting on the side of the Russian military. Russian special services are also actively recruiting citizens of Syria, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. In addition to direct recruitment of mercenaries, Russian special services also set up a scheme to supply the army with manpower through Indian slave traders who deceived Indian citizens into studying or working in Russia, after which they confiscated all their documents and sent them to the front line. The release of abducted citizens from the Russian army was even officially discussed by the President of the Russian Federation and the Prime Minister of India. As a result, about 100 people were returned. Learn how to kill kokols, Ukrainians. This is how Russians teach children for the war against Ukraine. Ukrainians will not kill themselves. We must do it, they say. Sick people. Sick Russian society.
Бам. Прикрой, меняй магазин.
Принял, прикрываю. Бам-бам-бам-бам. Бам-бам-бам-бам-бам. Бам-бам-бам-бам-бам.
Ниже, ниже, ниже. Локтями, блядь, не маши, нахуй. Отстрелят. Слышишь, кузнец?
Так точно.
Бам.
Кузнец, бой готов.
Огонь.
Принял. Перезаряжать, прикрой.
Принял, прикрываю. Бам-бам-бам-бам.
Давай, 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 живи.
Бам-бам-бам-бам. Кузнец стрельба кончила. Оружие заряжено и поставлено на предохранитель.
Понял, сокол?
Так точно.
Хохлы сами себя не убьют, блядь. Это должны сделать мы.
Attention, Lithuania. Russian propagandists reacted to Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda's statement that Karaliaučius will never become Kaliningrad with threats.
Как бы ни старалась Россия, Карaliaučius никогда не станет Калининградом.
Невероятные циники, конечно, и лицемеры, господин Наусėда, который сжигает книги, запрещает русский язык, сносит советские памятники, возмущен переименованию в суверенной стране.
Причем и Каралявичусом он никогда не был, по большому счету. Так же, как никогда, конечно, никто не знал, что он Малая Литва. Да? Я тогда предлагаю нам вернуть многие исторические названия. Ну, ладно, Литву можно переименовать в Малюсенькую Русь. Малороссия уже занято слово, да? Вот. И вспомнить, как там назывались Вильно.
Или Вильна.
Ну, Вильно при Советском Союзе, да, то есть там Шауляй был Щавелем, Шавельща, значит, и так далее. Много можно вспомнить, как исторически назывались эти земли. В конце концов, пусть там Литва вспомнит, кто им Вильнюс подарил, по большому счету, да, отобрав у поляков, которые, заметьте, не хотели его отдавать. Ну, а теперь они там об этом, конечно, забывают и рассказывают, что, оказывается, Королявичус какой-то, да, является этой самой Малолитвой. Ну, доиграются вот.
Keith Kellogg, Trump's special envoy on Ukraine and Russia. Johnson and Truman tried to buy Greenland, the Chinese control the Panama Canal, and Trump will be fair to Ukraine, no pushover for Putin. Still, it might take 100 days, not 24 hours.
And when I say by the near term, I would like to set a goal on a personal level and professional level. I would say let's set it at 100 days and move our way back and figure a way we can do this in the near term to make sure that this solution is solid, it's sustainable, and that this war ends and so that we stop the carnage. And I think that's going to be very, very important to do. It's going to be important for our national security. It's a part of our vital national interest, and it's also good for Europe as well, and the globe as well. Right. I think the biggest mistake that President Biden made is the fact that he's never engaged in any conversations with Putin. I mean, he hasn't talked to him in over 2 years. He needs to talk to him. That's one great thing the president does, is the president does talk to adversaries and allies alike. And he knows it's a tough one, but he actually knows you need to talk to people to get to an end state, and that's what he's going to do. So what we'll set the conditions for the president, and then he'll eventually get to a position where he'll be talking to President Putin and also President Zelensky as well. And I think they're going to come to a solvable solution in the near term. Two things. One with Panama, the Land Bridge Group is a Chinese group that's actually running the Panama Canal. They've got their headquarters on the Atlantic side in Cologne, and they basically do run the canal, and the president's right about that. And when it comes to Greenland, people forget that, President Andrew Johnson tried to buy Greenland when he went after Alaska as well. And at the end of World War II, you had President Truman offer $100 million to buy Greenland then. So this is not a new idea. This is actually an older idea that's come around. So when you look at what the president's doing, he's really kind of thinking out of the box. He's trying to engage, and he's putting the United States in a position of global leadership. So when you look at it historically, there's a lot of things he is saying is very, very accurate historically, and it makes a lot of sense internationally what it looks like for the future. When it comes to Panama, I was an assault brigade commander during Just Cause, the invasion of Panama. We actually did take the Panama Canal back in the late 80s during Operation Just Cause, and 3 weeks later we gave it back to them. So we've taken it before. It's happened before. And I think his point about the Chinese running the canal is a good point, because over 70% of the commerce that goes through the Panama Canal is in fact American. So it is in our vital interest, in our vital national interest, that canal stays sovereign.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. He's doing the job every day.